This week on the drop, we have everything from new micro finesse lures from Nishine Lure Works all the way to a brand new JDM SKU of Megabass P5s. Let's get into this one. It's going to be awesome. How's it going, guys? Travis here from Tacklebros. Welcome to the drop. This is our 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time weekly edition of basically what's new in the store. So this is where we gather everything, the new colors, the new the new rods, the new reels, the new baits. We bring it all to you guys, show you the, walk you through maybe what you're going to use it for, where it's going to be effective. And as usual, I am with Ashton at QTR_46. So if you want to give him a follow, go follow him on his Instagram and maybe pressure him to post a little bit more. You did post a new rod this week, though.
I did.
Pretty badass rod.
Sick rod.
If you guys want to follow me, I am at Tacklebros on Instagram. That's where you're going to get to see, stuff like the new rod. I kind of give a little sneak peek this week on what was coming, and we do that periodically, as well as when we go, we're going to Japan next week, so you guys will be able to see some of the stuff we're doing over there. And if you want to follow along with everything that's going on the shop, make sure that you check out our official Instagram and everything else at Tacklebros Fishing. All three of those links are going to be in the description for you to just click. It's going to take you right to the page, little boom, boom, and then we're friends all of a sudden. Okay, so this week we have a ton of awesome products. Now this is where it starts to get really good. So the classics right around the corner. It's starting to warm up. I can see snow melting, which is great. It's also sunny out for the first time in a long time when we're doing this. Usually when we're filming the drop, it is pitch black outside, and it's actually pretty depressing, but we've been getting to the pluses a little bit here and there. Things are starting to look good for, our early season. If you're in the South, you think we're ridiculous for probably where we live. But I love giant smallmouth, and yeah, it's just, it's fun up here. Just not in the wintertime.
It's great up here when it's
cold.
We
We just have like 5 months where we probably don't want to live here, but the rest of the time it's great. This week I'm going to start on Nishine Lure Works. Now, we're very lucky that Hiroshi lives so close to us. He's about an hour-and-a-half drive, west of us. He fishes a lot of similar waters. So, for us, a lot of the times I can feel very comfortable just grabbing one of these lures. I know he's fishing a similar style of fish that we are. He also makes one of the most badass swim bait heads on the market that we use a ton of. But this week he's gone a little bit of a different direction with, the new bait that we're going to introduce to you. So this is going to be the Saugeen 40 from Nishine Lure Works. This is an interesting bait. Like all of the Nishine Lure Work baits, there's going to be a couple different modes to this, and that's one thing that, again, I love. You get a lot out of these things. Like, if you're fishing a shallow depth and you want to make it run, you just pop on one of his little weights onto it. You can take the blades on and off of the crankbaits. He has the baby abinos and the abino topwaters where you can switch the lips off of it and make it a popper, or put a prop on or take a prop off, or blades. And this is no different. So this is the Saugeen 40 from Nishine Lure Works. Now this is essentially a hard plastic paddle tail swim bait. This was designed originally for trout fishing in small creeks and ponds and stuff like that. But I think what he's found is that this is great for catching pressured fish that are honed in on micro bait or little fry, new hatchlings. This is the time of year when that starts to happen. The bluegill are spawning, the bass are spawning, everybody's eating everything. Let me spec this guy out for you. So this is going to be 40 millimeters, 3.1 grams. So quite a small profile and weight. You're going to want to throw this on, light gear, BFS style. It's going to be, again, it's designed originally for trout fishing, creek chub, stuff like that. But in testing, he found that a lot of, other species were really attracted to this. He had a ton of bites. One thing you can do, now, he has completely dialed this in so it can be fished with a treble. But if you're fishing somewhere where you can only have a single hook, it's not going to affect the action. You took that into account because I know a lot of, trout fisheries only allow you to fish with one hook. This tail drive system that he's designed on here, which is essentially this hard plastic paddle tail, it's going to give you one of the most realistic fishing looks. I watched a bunch of the videos. Obviously, we're in winter. I haven't had a chance to throw this, but that combined with this blade, it looks incredible in the water. Now, when you take the blade off, it's going to allow you to have a much faster straight retrieve. With the blade on, generally how I watched Hiroshi work this, he was more shaking it back to him, sort of like mid-strolling. So this definitely can apply to you if you're, fishing pelagic fish, mid-strolling. If they're honed in on little tiny baby, fry or anything like that, this is going to be a good option for you. Trout guys, I mean, you guys already probably know how electric this looks. It's going to come in 6 different colors. This one that I've been holding up the entire time is going to be baby trout. We're also going to have noodle fish, ghost. We're going to have BPB chartreuse, ghost chrome. It's a great looking one right there. And finally, gold. So you're going to have the ability to basically match, any type of bait fish, small fish forage that you can imagine. Again, it's a Nishine Lure Works product. It's going to be ultra versatile. You can do a ton of stuff with this, blade on, blade off, fish it basically however you want. I'm really excited to throw this for, fishing a stream for some trout. Maybe I'll keep a couple on deck if we're getting into a situation where, we're fishing around a lot of fry, or when the bluegill spawn is or something like that. But a great new awesome addition to the Nishine Lure Works lineup, the Saugeen 40. Also from Nishine Lure Works this week, we had a huge restock on the Erie 95 MD. Now, you guys know that this is one of my favorite smaller sized jerkbait profiles. There's some customization stuff you can do with the bottom of the lip there on the back. If you look really closely, you'll see there's a little keel on the bottom of this. I believe if you cut that off, it allows it to have a little bit more erratic action. I got basically all of the popular colors are back in. The BPB chartreuses, the BPB shiners. I mean, this is one of the best ghost smelt colors on the market, period. Nishine knocked this one into the park. I'm glad that it's kind of in everything. And then a bunch of the Erie 115s are back in stock, like the EU Perch, again, that ghost smelt. So if you guys are a fan of the Nishine Lure Works Erie series of jerkbaits, I think pretty much everything is finally back in stock, from the MDs all the way up to the TWs. So you can cover pretty much any water column. Now, speaking of covering pretty much any water column, we also got back in the Nishine outer weights. Now, these have become incredibly popular with all of the forward-facing stuff. So if you have a jerkbait that maybe runs a little bit shallower than you'd like, or if it's not quite suspending well because the water temperature is different, or if you just have a floating model and you want a suspending model, or you're trying to get a little bit deeper, these are a great option to add to any jerkbait that you want. You can add to pretty much any hard bait. It's not going to affect the action too much, but specifically with his stuff, if you add this on there, it's just going to allow it to have a little bit better of a sink rate. You can get it a little bit deeper, or maybe suspend a little bit into the column. So the outer weights are all back in stock again from Nishine Lure Works. One of our best-selling crankbaits is back in. These are the baby Chippawa DDs. I have all colors back in stock. This is a downsized version of the Chippawa DD blade. So you guys are probably, if you're familiar with Nishine, you know that he makes these incredible crankbaits with a little blade on the bottom. You can take it off if you don't want to use it, but I mean, most guys do. It's just a little bit of a different look. They have an amazing action, great running depth, sort of that 6 to 8 foot range on the DD. Just a great downsized style of crankbait. It's about 2 inches long, 11.2 grams, so right around that 3/8 size. Again, one of my personal favorites. I love the whole Chippawa series of crankbaits, so definitely check those out from Nishine Lure Works. Also, the DS drop shot hooks in size 2 are back in stock. This is that really cool drop shot hook that you have to tie a snell on, but it helps with the hook being perfectly at 90 degrees, so it's going to help you with hookup ratios. It's just an amazing alternate to a hook. It also keeps the bait out from the line a little bit if you're having hookup problems, or if you like to thread your baits on, if you're throwing like a little, hazardong shad or something like that and you want to thread it on, this is another great option for that. And then finally, we ran out of a bunch of colors in my personal favorite swim bait head, the Nishine Lure Works Smelt head. So we got everything back in, the Smelts, the green pumpkins, the Wakasagis, even the new glow-in-the-dark blueback chartreuse. So everything, pretty much everything Nishine is back in stock. If you're not familiar with the brand, get familiar with it. It makes amazing, high quality products and some of the best paint jobs in fishing. All right, moving over from one of my favorite Canadian JDM brands, let's move over to one of my favorite, say, not US made, but like US inspired JDM brands, and that's gonna be Teckel. So this week we have a full Teckel restock. Almost everything is back in stock for the first time in a very long time, including some colors that we had never even had from some of these baits. They've been out of stock for so long. We're gonna start right here with the Teckel Maracker. So this is a really cool one. I mean, we've had this in stock before. I'm just gonna touch on it for a second. They basically have a hybrid rattling blade on the back there. So it looks almost like a blade, but it actually has ball bearings in there, giving it a beautiful maraca sound. So if you're fishing, you know, thick cover where maybe there might be some sound dampening going on, this is going to be a great option for that. 6 of the 7 colors available are back in stock in that. I mean, all the standard stuff that you're familiar with Teckel. He makes some of the best frog colors on the market. We even have some crazy ones like the June bug, which is pretty cool with the purple blade back there. And then Sprinker frogs. So we have been out of so many colors of Sprinker frogs for so long now. We finally have the entire lineup back in stock. So if you're not familiar with Sprinker frog, basically think about it like this. Who doesn't like to throw a whopper plopper? But sometimes you get a little bit too close to the grass and it gets hung up in all the trebles and everything like that. Well, Teckel has a solution for you. Again, this has been around for a long time, but basically this is a heavy cover style of whopper plopper. All the colors are back in stock. It's going to come with one tail already pre-attached, and then you're going to get a second one in the package. One of my favorite baits, especially, you know, as the summer progresses along and the grass starts to die off and mat up on the top, you're still able to fish around it with this guy. Also back in from Teckel, the Honker frog. Now this has been out of stock pretty much everywhere for a while, man. If you're not familiar with the Honker frog, this is the original bladed leg style of frog on the market. It's going to have premium ball bearing swivels, half ounce. He has designed this to always land right side up. So it's going to have easy castability. It's always going to land on the stomach instead of on the back, and you have to flip it over. Now, this will create, because of these, a sort of unique style of wake, but fishing with Hideki in recent, you know, when we're over in Japan or when he comes over here, I watched him fish this, and basically what he does is he pulls this across the top of mats, lets it hit a hole, and then sort of shakes it in place so that the blades are sort of clinking together. This is going to create flash, a little bit of sound, something for the fish to hone in on as it comes up and grabs this thing. It was really insightful for me, as I'm not the best frog fisherman in the world. I mean, I love frog fishing just as I'm sure most of you guys do, but not something that is always, you know, we have a small window up here. Watching him do that really opened me up to more styles and different ways you can fish a frog. So I just thought I'd point that out. It's pretty cool. He says it sort of sounds like a bluegill sound when the tails are clinking together, which I can see. So I'm going to run through these colors actually, because a lot of them are new into the shop. It's been out of stock that long. This one that I'm holding up is camo, so sort of a classic color right there. I'm going to fly through these. So this one is going to be mustard, lemon lime. It's a good one. June bug. So all these will have different, not all of them, but you know, the color of the feet is going to match up to what makes the most sense for the color of the bait. This is going to be pure white, and then the bone is going to have the gold blades. Crystal pink, snakehead, color me, so you're encouraged to sort of make this one your own. It's going to have a nice clear with a silver fleck in it. You can fish it how it is, but if you want to sort of make it however you want, you're encouraged to color this one. And then finally, bluegill. So 10 amazing colors in that one. Super excited to finally have the full lineup in stock. And I'm really looking forward to using it this year. And then just a quick restock note. All Kicknockers are back in stock. You know, the bones, the chromes, the clear ice, sort of the classic color right there. Black shore. And then a restock on the new colors in the pups. So baby bass and then phantom chartreuse shad. quickly from Jackall, we had one color in the 4-inch Driftfry come back into stock. This is going to be the Ghost Wagasagi color. Just a handful of these. I'm not sure when the next big batch of the mellows and the, NA colors of Driftfry are coming in, but they're starting to trickle in, so these are now in stock. Now, assuming a lot of you guys are like me, I like to sort of get whatever the best rod at the time for me I can get my hands on, and I like to protect them. So we use, for the most part, this is what we've been using to protect our rods. This is just it's like a mesh rod glove. Works great, protects the guides, everything like that. Now, this is the premium upgraded version of the rod glove. This is the rod glove tournament series. Now, I'm assuming most people have used that style. If you travel around with your rods, if you have, a boat where you stuff a bunch of rods in the rod locker, you like to have those on there. You don't want to bend out guides or, get things twisted up and mixed up. This version of them is a much more premium material. You're not going to have it, it's inevitable with these because it's that sort of, it's like a Chinese finger trap, right? Yeah. Sometimes they'll bunch up, your guide will go through it a little bit and it'll pull down on the guide and it's stuck in there and you got to pop it out. This is a full one piece folded over of neoprene. They've also done this thing down here, so it's going to stop your hooks from penetrating into it. It's also very resistant to hook penetration in the first place, but this is going to protect your rod cover from getting the hook into it and it getting stuck. And then you're also going to have this little loop, which is going to keep this thing held down properly onto the rod. You're going to loop this around one of the handles on your reel, and it's just going to keep it a little bit more secure. It's a little bit stretchy. It's not too thick where you're going to get worried by having, we talk about this a lot. I am terrified to put my solid tip or my super light rods into these sometimes, because if you get a thick one, I've done it enough times where the tip just breaks off. You're trying to push in with too much force. They slide into this incredibly, and it's not so thick that you really have to worry about the rigidity not allowing your rod to go into it. It also has these awesome little hanging loops, so if you're tinkering around, instead of having your rod covers all over the boat, you can take them out, hang them up really quick, and then just grab them as you need them when you're putting rods in the boat. It's an awesome product. We only got a handful of colors in, so these colors are going to be available in both casting and spinning. We're going to have a red. We're going to have this awesome sort of army green color, a really nice blue color, standard black, and then this actually really nice, it's like a gunmetal gray color without it being shiny. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Casting, spinning, and then for the extra long, so if you're throwing those, big 8-foot flipping sticks, stuff like that, we're gonna have just black in stock for you. So check those out from the Rod Glove. You're already spending, $1,000 to $1,000 on a rod. For the couple bucks that this is gonna cost, it's gonna save you a lot of problems down the road with bent guides and scratched up everything. So check these out from Rod Glove. This one's mine for my new rod that I bought, which we're going to talk about right now. So Megabass in Japan, you guys probably know, they have a different set of rods than what we have. We have Megabass USA. They sort of gear rods a little bit more towards our style of fishing over here. Now, Japan has some awesome models. They also make a bunch that are, for me, they were just a little bit too close. I was like, it could be confusing, but one that really stood out to me was the Megabass P5, the Zengetsu. So this is the cover of it, so you guys probably don't really care too much about that. This is the Megabass Zengetsu. So if you're a Bleach fan, Zengetsu, come on. It means moon visible in the morning, or slay moon. That's what this is. It's the sword from Bleach, dude. You don't watch Bleach? You're not a big anime guy, eh?
I'm not a big anime guy.
Johnny's a mega anime guy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be a 7'7" f2.5. So really similar to a Flissa. Now, I'm going to point this out right away. We're going to get this out of our brains. It's ferruled. So I don't get the issue with ferruling. I have dozens of rods that are ferruled. I generally put them in and never think about it ever again. I don't ever take them apart. If it was, ferruled in the middle or something, I could sort of understand. I can understand the argument there, but it's at the handle. You're never going to notice it. It's going to again, once you lock it in, you put it in the rod box or wherever, you're never going to notice it. Mainly due to shipping and moving around. Like if you're traveling with it, you can get this in your car a little bit easier. But for me, they never come out. I don't even know which of my rods are ferruled, but I know a lot of them are ferruled.
Yep.
So it's a JDM thing. Now, 7'7", f2.5. You're thinking, I have a Flissa. Do I really care about that extra inch? Well, what that does is soften this up quite a bit at the tip. Now, it's going to be great for all the things you would think a Flissa is great for, but this is going to absolutely dominate it in the marabou section. So if you guys throw hair jigs, little 3/32 marabou jig, this is something, in Canada that is I mean, it's a rite of passage. You basically have to throw hair jigs up here. I know that Minnesota is very famous for this as well. A lot of the New York states are really famous for this, but a little hair jig is such a big part of the way that we fish that, NRX 901s, before they even made that, they had the Conquest 902s. We throw a lot of the one from Daiwa. There's a handful of really good rods. In my opinion, and I might be impartial, it's between this one and a 901. So the Flissa, I always reference the Flissa when people ask me, how does it feel to a 901, a 902? Because that's kind of where it's tough to beat an NRX Plus. Unfortunately, they've just got it figured out. I mean, you guys see in the videos, a lot of my spinning is all NRX. When it comes to sensitivity, it's tough to beat. This is one of the closest rods I've ever felt to an NRX that is, I don't know, $200-300 cheaper. And you're gonna get that extra inch of length, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're throwing a little 3/32 or even a 1/16 size little hair jig or an Okashira or anything with a little small hook on it, getting it away from the boat is the hardest thing to do. It can be very frustrating at times. That's why we use the ultra long rods, because you need to get it away from the boat. That 1 inch, it makes a big difference. Now, the other thing that it does, which I already spoke on, it makes it softer on the tip section. It still kind of has a very similar backbone, but having that little bit of softness in the tip section, if you guys throw an Igudama type Kwami, this is going to be a phenomenal rod for that little tiny micro finesse jig. I have been pressing to get this rod into the shop for a little over a year. I think I missed out the last time that they had a production on them by like a week or something like that. So to finally get them in, I don't know how readily available these are going to be, but I grabbed literally as many as they would possibly let me have. I'm going to give you a full spec out on it. It's going to be 7'7", 1/16 to 3/8, 4 to 10 pound test. I don't always pay attention to the line rating. 1/16 to 3/8. It's almost, well, it is the same as a Flissa. Flissa is 1/16 to 3/8. I like this on the lighter end of the scale. 3/8 with just how soft the tip is, it's maybe not my favorite, but that long medium light rod has become the core of the way that I fish. I talk about it all the time. I have 3 Flissas, I got 901s, 902s. That length to be able to get things away, especially if you fish clear water, being able to get a nice sweep set when you're fishing on small hooks and you're having giant fish bite far away. It's the core of my fishing at this point. I'm two ends of the spectrum. Shorter, that long 6 to short 6. And then as long as I can get in a 7-footer without getting absolutely crazy. So this is one of the most badass rods I think we've ever had in the shop. It's one that, this one's mine. That's why I got this rod glove, because I already put it on top of it. So one that I've been looking forward to for a long time. We don't get a lot of shots at getting, Megabass Japan specific models in all the time. So if you guys are a fan of any of that type of fishing that I'm talking about, throwing those little micro jigs, hair jigs this is the rod for a hair jig, and that's coming from a guy who, I'm ultra fascinated with that style of fishing. I live in Bree Smallmouth, crystal clear water. Really small stuff is really the core base of everything that I do. Trust me on this, hair jig rod, this is the one. I can't think of a better rod in the shop for it. It's like a 901.2. Instead of, I always say the Fliss is a 901.5. This is like in between the two, and it makes a difference. So I just went on the most passionate rant about
It was
7 foot plus rods. Badass rod from Megabass, the Zengetsu Megabass JDM P5 in the Destroyer series, now available at Tacklebros. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you for hanging out. Hopefully you guys seen some amazing stuff that you've either been looking for or you learned something new today. Definitely check out that Saugeen. And I know that it seems like frog fishing is quite a ways away, but it's going to come up really fast. I mean, we can already see the difference that even having like, what, 1 week of warmer weather has made. Hopefully the heat stays up for when we get home. Until then, I guess we'll see you guys next week on the next drop.
On Thursday.
On Thursday, every Thursday, over and over again. All right, see you guys.